Hello to my Capricorns. This is Queen Amura coming to you with your general reading, Capricorns. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. This reading is for Friday, October 24th through Friday, October 31st. So on the 24th of October, the moon will be in Sagittarius, and on the 31st, it'll be in Pisces. So what those two zodiac signs have in common is Jupiter, right? Jupiter is the planet of growth and opportunity. It's the planet of it actually rules the day of the week, Thursday. So that's going to be significant. And it also the color purple, right? What is significant about that date is morals, ethics, adventure, hubris, confidence, possibilities, zest for life, enthusiasm, horizons, abundance, blessings, opportunities, good fortune, all of those things, right? Oh, okay. I'm a magnet for brilliant ideas. Nice. Okay. So talking to you wherever Capricorn is in your birth chart. Let's get into it, right? So we had a hunter's moon. We had a hunter's moon this last full moon. And so obviously we're in a whole new phase within a new cycle, right? All those wonderful things, right? So we are going to get into your reading and see what is going on with the goings on here. See what's going on with the goings ons. A lot of people, when you think about hunter, you could be thinking about like headhunter, right? You know, like for a job, you know, like when you put your resume out there on some of the sites where you may have like what's called a headhunter. They're like looking through maybe a database and they're looking at resumes, right? So they're looking for the best talent, right? Seeing who has the best talent, who is going to be the star in a company or organization, right? They're looking at who has the this and that, gifts and talents, who's going to make the company shine, right? Who's going to be valued, worth and value, all that other stuff. So, right? So you got to know your worth and you got to know your value, right? So that you don't sell yourself short. You're going in for interviews and things like that, right? So what's the current situation? What's the current situation? This is a general reading, so take on what resonates with you. If you're interested in a personal reading, my information is down below in the description. But let's see what the situation, the current situation, what's happening with my Capricorns right now, current situation, right? The Magician card, right? So a message is out there in floating around. There is a message out there. So the Magician card connects us with Mercury. Mercury is communication. Is there a challenge here? The challenge is coming from a leader, someone who is in a leadership position. That's the challenge. Someone who is a leader. The message is coming from a leader. What about the distant past? And that could be a challenge, possibly for you, that is coming from a leader. So, okay. Distant past, somebody who has a something about flying. Somebody who was fast-tracked or flying, or you may have taken a flight with this person before, or maybe y'all worked together and both of y'all were fast-tracked before. Maybe you were a manager, or maybe you worked for them, and you saw them be fast-tracked, or you worked under them. Something about being fast-tracked. Maybe y'all worked together or something like that. 3 and 8 is 11. So 11, the 29th, right? So the 29th kicks off a first quarter moon in Aquarius, right? And so 3 and 8 is 11. So we can see 11 in a lot of different ways. And this is another way we're seeing 11. So they could be in the message from an Aquarius, who, or you can have an Aquarius in your birth chart, where Aquarius rules 11th house as well, right? So it could be about a friend. You could have been in a leadership position. You could know a friend who's an Aquarius, who was in a leadership position as well. Maybe y'all flew together, or y'all talked, or something like that, or you're focused on an Aquarius or something like that. But y'all certainly share the zodiac sign Saturn, right? Saturn return could be a significance as well. But nevertheless, what somebody could have in common is it could be 3 Aquarius involved as well, or maybe 8, whatever. But is being enlightened about the humanitarian efforts, being leaders, talking about in the way that they communicate. So you could know 3 Aquarius that are leaders or in leadership positions, right? And how quickly things take off, take flight, when they say things. Things could just take off, you know, quickly, right? When they communicate certain things, right? And so here we have the Hanged Woman. So somebody has emptied something out. Something has been emptied out, right? So someone has been emptied out of something. A lot of sacrifices have been made here, right? In a leadership position, somebody may have made a lot of sacrifices for you. It could be a man or woman, but somebody has made a lot of sacrifices for you. They communicated something to you as a leader, right? And to help you learn how to be fast-tracked about the sacrifices that they made, right? And so this is like, you know, in the recent past, somebody may have emptied a lot of information into you, into how to be fast-tracked as a leader, like basically stay focused. Somebody could have told you, stay focused. If you want to be a leader, stay focused. Like, get away from people who have succumbed to passive and powerless behavior, or people who are egotistical, materialistic, and forceful. Get to work, stay focused. Like, you have to create a divide between employees. If you're a leader, you're going to have to create some kind of a divide, right? You're not better than they are. You were once there at that point, but you're going to have to make certain sacrifices, not just hanging out with people, right? Not just hanging out with energies, right? Because this could cause a lot of delusions and confusions, just hanging out with people. You're going to have to make sacrifices like getting your rest, you know, those kind of things. Not spending all your money, hanging out, happy hour, you know, talking about all this personal stuff. And no, you got to stay focused, like laser focused. What are your strengths? Because somebody is being promoted to a leadership position, right? So somebody is climbing up out of, so this is what you have in common with somebody, is that you're climbing up out of something. So somebody communicated something, right? So you talk to someone who is basically talk to you about how to be fast-tracked in a leadership position, and they poured a lot into you, and you're climbing your way up out of something. You're making some kind of a transition, and you got some people who could be talking about you behind your back, like, how are you making it, how are you transitioning so fast through things, right? But when you got people that have transitioned, they have fast-tracked through organizations and companies themselves. They didn't have to sleep their way to the top. None of those things, right? You're going to have people that's talking about you behind your back. You're going to have people do all kinds of stuff. What kind of sacrifices did that person make, right? Who did they sleep with to get to the top, right? And so you're going to have people that's trying to bury you 6 feet under, right? But what I'm seeing here is something is about to come out. Something is about to come out. What's about the near future? What is the near future for my Capricorns? What is the near future? Yeah, some kind of a win. Some kind of a win. It's the near future. Your short-term future and how things might turn out if you don't change your direction and carry on the path that you're on. Yeah, this is where you keep on sailing through calmer water. Source is trying to keep you. Just hang in there. Hang in there with yourself. Stay focused. Some people are still talking about how, you know, somebody, a leader, they're communicating something, right? How somebody was fast-tracked. How does somebody, you know, get through this organization fast? How did they make it through? I'm trying to tell y'all. Listen. I'm not gonna make this reading about me at all, but I've actually seen people from the same hometown have things in common, like maybe their spouses were from the same hometown, and they're talking about, oh yeah, we gotta have dinner together, we gotta, you know, and just have certain things in common, where they weren't even talking about people sleeping together, none of those things. Just when I see marriage right here, this right here, they talking about their spouses. When I left this organization, I remember working on this project with this guy's wife, and just recognizing that they had the same last name. And I asked her when I was leaving this organization I was leaving, I said, do you happen to know so-and-so? And so she said, yeah, but it was almost kind of like a, yeah, why? And I said, oh, I just want to let you know just how kind. And I said, is that your brother? Or she said, no, we're married. And I said, oh, okay, I just want to let you know how kind he was. You know, when I first came to this organization double-digit years ago, he was a very, very kind person. She's like, oh, thank you. You know, thank you. I'll let him know that you said that, right? Very kind, very professional, but very kind person. Very nice person, very nice and kind person, but very, very professional. You know, just very even keeled person. Sometimes you work with people that is very kind, very nice, very even keeled, like the same way every single time you have interaction with them. Anytime you need to know some information, if they don't know, they'll give you the number to somebody. Well, let me find out for you. I may not know that information, but let me find out that's information for you, right? And just to be able to get the feedback. And I never knew that person was just so professional, you know, just like I said. So like I said, sometimes this is where something is, when you walking in, something about your energy just looks like a leader. Something about your energy is a leader because of the sacrifices that were made, right? And so Source is trying to tell somebody, it's like, you know, somebody coming up out of something is showing you the sacrifices that were made, right? Just because of the way something is being communicated, right? So you're a magnet for brilliant ideas. You've always been a star. So you're in your 11th house. You're in your 11th house. You're in your 11th house. The influence is on you. So the near future is that you won something. So you were climbing your way out of something. So congratulations, you already won some kind of a leadership position. I'm seeing here, right here, because the challenge is that you may have been competing for some kind of a leadership position, and you're being fast tracked into something. The influence is an Aquarius. It could have been an Aquarius that you work for, but it's 3 Aquarius that you know. There's 3 Aquarius that you know that could have influenced. You could have worked for one. You could be a friend with one, whoever. But something about the influence of being around divine masculine zodiac signs for you is helping you to be in that, because again, y'all share the zodiac sign Saturn. Just being around that Saturn return, speaking up, right, as helping somebody to be fast tracked through some things, and just hearing about sacrifices, and just kind of sort of like when you're climbing up out of stuff, even people being shady behind your back, saying stuff, and just helping you to just transition through some stuff, right? When you feel like somebody got swords in your back, you're a star. That's your 11th house. Your 11th house is like, and star is not famous, okay? Just so we're crystal clear. Everybody is a star. That's not fame. That means that you know your purpose. You have purpose in this world. Everybody shines differently. All Capricorns are different. All Aquarius are different. Every zodiac sign rules a house. Every zodiac sign rules a house. So you're really no respecter of person, meaning that you treat everybody the same way, like whether they're rich, poor, single mom, single dad, married, divorced. I mean, really just no respecter of person, right? Whether in a leadership position, not leadership position, but something about here, just knowing that when you're in a leadership position, you can't go hanging out with the same people that now are working for you, working up under you. Got to create some kind of separatism there. Just like, okay, well, we used to be able to hang out, but we can't hang out because now I got to study paperwork. I got to look over. You got more duties and responsibilities now. So you can't go hanging out, with certain energies, or you be climbing out of paperwork, Now I'm really slacking, right? So what about external and environmental influences, how other people and their energies impact your situation and will affect the outcome? For my Capricorns, right? The Temperance card. You resolve something within. You've resolved something within. Your Temperance card. You're not, when I say temperance, like you resolve something within, like being apart. This right here, being apart, right? Or being separated from some energies, right? Something about you have a certain air about you, divine feminine energies. You got to remember, divine feminine does not mean that you're, because everybody in has divine masculine and divine feminine energy, right? So divine feminine energy is how we receive. It has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman. So you receive something, right? Is how you process it. The outcome is the divine masculine, right? So let's say, for instance, you receive groceries to your home, right? How you prepare the product, good, and service is the outcome. That's the masculine side, right? So we all embody divine masculine to divine feminine energy, right? So somebody may receive a message about you. They might look at you, like how you dress, you know, how you talk, how long it takes you to process whatever, and assume something about you. And so they may tell people, that could be the outcome. Oh, I believe this person is such and such and such and such, right? And it could be totally wrong. That could be their first impression of you, right? Because they're not seeing something from a higher frequency, right? They could say, they could just sit literally because it's a Saturn return, because you may not be from a certain place. You may not be from that area geographically, right? Or you may be new to leadership. Somebody may say, this person, I don't believe that person deserved to be in a leadership position. Or because of the way you talk. You may not talk like, you may not have the same you may not talk like you're from that area, right? Same accent. You know, from a particular area. You may have like a drawl, like a southern drawl a little bit, right? Or you may speak like you're from the north of wherever you are, right? But you're still a magnet for brilliant ideas, right? Just because you talk slower doesn't mean that you think slow. Just because you talk fast doesn't mean you think fast, right? So the source is trying to tell somebody, like, you're learning how to see something from a higher frequency, okay? You're learning how to see something from a higher frequency, right? People automatically will think that you're not, because you're not from a particular area, that you're not going to catch on to something fast, right? Right? But really, when you're not from a particular area, it speeds up your intuition, because you're almost like, okay, you're starting to, it speeds it up. This right here, it speeds it up. Because now you're really paying attention. You're really paying attention to everything now. Everything you're starting to remember. You're starting to pay attention. You're really starting to remember. Because it's almost like you're in survival mode at that point. You're in survival mode, right? Until you can balance some things out. You're trying to remember everything what you were told. So, what about the hopes and fears for my Capricorn? So somebody is now remembering everything they were told about being in leadership positions, right? Hopes and fears. You're hoping that people will be compassionate towards you. You're hoping that people will be compassionate towards you, right? And you don't necessarily have to hope whether people are going to be compassionate towards you or not. Show yourself some compassion, okay? That's most important. Show yourself some compassion. This is your moon sign. Pour into yourself. Show yourself some compassion. Hang in there with yourself. Start showing yourself some compassion, right? The outcome. Yeah. Yeah. So, and talk about work. Talk about the work that you've been doing on yourself. Talk about the work that you've been doing on yourself. You've been pouring into yourself. Looks like you've been working on yourself. Talk about the work that you've been doing on yourself. You've been working on yourself. Talk about that. So here we have healed people move differently. You know, you have the gift of clairvoyance. You see things clearly. You see things very clearly. Somebody's a seer, right? You have made a positive impact on them. Made a very positive impact on them. Um, the answers you seek are coming. Solar plexus chakra cleanse. Right, schedule a vacation. I see you scheduling a vacation. Don't give yourselves a headache over something. They have not been completely honest with you. Their demon is envy, right? So somebody envies you, right? So this could be an ex-friend, ex-love interest. I don't know. Somebody's an ex something. So dance around your home as if no one is watching. So ex is not always ex-love interest. It could be ex somebody. So the spy is now turned on. Put yourself first. Let go and let God. Yeah. So angel URL, the angel and prophecy of wisdom is with you. And new love awaits for someone. New love awaits for someone. So. So somebody could have new love awaits. But again, when I say X in my readings, it's not always X love, okay? Just so we're crystal clear. I feel like I got to clarify that because sometimes people assume, let's say for instance, your ex is stalking everything you do. Say everything you do, they do it, right? I hope that's not the case. I hope nobody has any stalkers, but just in case. Y'all broke up during the time they knew you were watching tarot and they watching everything you watching, so... and I'm not just saying that just in case, because ex does not always mean ex love interest. It could literally be an ex friend that y'all just watch tarot. Like y'all are both interested in tarot, and they could just be just kind of sort of saying, well, I know they just never got over you. Y'all just never, and I'm not saying this is someone's ego either. They just happen to hear, an ex, and they sitting at home somewhere going, So somebody envies you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know who that person is. I have no idea. I'm not even asking the card. I'm not asking spirit. But I do feel like you're going to be counting your blessings. I feel like I'm seeing new love interest here. I do see somebody getting married in your cards here. But you got the message loud and clear to hang in there. I do see you in a leadership position. I see you climbing out of you and somebody does have something in common. You're sailing on to calmer waters is what I'm seeing here in your cards. After leaving behind some shady energies. Who almost made you want to make you feel like you should feel lucky. Who tried to almost make you feel like you should feel lucky. Yeah, here we have psychic abilities here. And I'm seeing financial health, and I'm seeing wellness here. Wellness connects us to your 6th house, right? I see you feel free. I see you feeling free to just be passionate about whatever it is that you do. Yeah. You could have been going through various stages of grief. And somebody could have been practicing moon magic on you during your various stages of grief, right? Dark moon magic. Dark moon magic. You'd be surprised at how many people practice dark moon magic. When you're grieving and you're crying at night and you're sad and it's hard to go to sleep, those kind of things, and people dropping certain words in your spirit. This is why I teach the way that I teach, right? During these moon phases. We did have a hunter's moon, right? And believe it or not, there's a lot of energies who in this generation, people may not practice it, and they may not even remember that maybe their ancestors may have practiced certain things. And so you'd be surprised at generationally how a lot of people maybe just now waking up and just remembering, certain things that may have been said around their house. You could be remembering certain things that were said around your house. Like maybe you may have heard somebody say, I had a dream about fish last night. Somebody must be pregnant, right? That's a psychic gift. You have enough dreams about people having dreams about fish, and then you hear enough people saying that, you're getting a phone call, somebody is pregnant. or you have enough feelings where your joints are inflamed. And again, this is not medical advice. I'm not a medical doctor. Let me just be crystal clear, okay? But download a moon calendar. You can find it online for free. Download it. And it'll speak to certain things. Some people really do use the moon calendar for when they go get surgeries. They when they cut their hair, when they, the following rituals and certain things like that. And so I try to use it to help people land on the light side of the moon and light side of their emotions and things like that. So for some people, they find truth in it. Some people, they don't. So it just depends. So here we have freedom. I no longer want this fiery ring of resentment to block the good. Release me from its bonds. Release me from its bonds. So, right. So it just depends. It really just depends on what your belief is. It just depends on what your belief is. So some people use it for good. Some people use it for evil. But whatever your belief is, some people will go to a practicing physician, but it says practicing physician for a reason. If a practicing physician tells a person, here, take 29 pills and you'll get well, somebody will just sit there and won't even say, hey, well, this one is making me feel a certain kind of way. They'll just say, okay, I'll go home and take all of these pills, and won't go to a doctor and say, well, this one isn't making me feel good. Like that's the whole point of having a conversation with I feel like practicing physicians encourage, for the most part, that dialogue. I feel like they encourage the dialogue. I feel like they want to hear back. They want you to tell them certain things. They don't want to have any kind of a lawsuit. They went to school for this. Like I'm sure a lot of them are passionate about what they do, and I feel like they went to school for this. There's something in them, pursued this. They want the feedback, So it's two sides of that. They went to school for this, and they want to hear back from people, the feedback. So I'm seeing in your cards here, you in some kind of a leadership position here, and I do see you you could have linked up with a dark magician at some point who likes to practice dark magic, and could have almost felt like you should feel lucky. Speaking of those two planets, the moon being in Sagittarius on Friday, and then when we get to the 31st, the moon being in Pisces, those two planets, like I said, this reading is for the 24th of October through the 31st of October. It'll be in Sagittarius on the 24th, and then on the 31st, it'll be in Pisces of October. Those two planets are ruled by Jupiter, the planet of growth and opportunity. Those from the 24th to the 31st, that's your opportunity for growth. That's an opportunity for growth, right? Growth of your morals, your ethics, adventure, hubris, confidence, zest for life, possibilities, horizons, abundance, blessings, good fortune, opportunities, all of those things, right? Your money, all of those things, right? But it's also an opportunity to remove any kind of anger, frustration, that ring of resentment, your psychic abilities, your well-being, to free yourself, all of those things in order to get your financial health together, to get passionate about some things, right? To stop any kind of dark moon magic, all of those things, right? To understand that you were going through some kind of a grieving process and say, hey, I was grieving something, that you are a magnet for brilliant ideas. I mean, for real, get a calendar out. Say, hey, listen, I was grieving something. I didn't know it was better. I didn't know any better. I was going through something. I didn't know the difference between dark moon magic and light moon magic. It's going to come down to this for somebody. I'm going to get ready to control what I listen to before I drift off to sleep. Okay? Start controlling what you listen to before you drift off to sleep. Start listening to something positive when you drift off to sleep. Something that's going to be uplifting. When you wake up, you feel like, okay, I feel 1,000% better when I wake up. If you arguing with somebody before you drift off to sleep, then you're going to be almost guaranteed you will wake up on the dark side of your emotions. That's the moon. Dark side of your intuition, dark side of your emotions, dark side of your feelings. That is the moon. The moon invokes feelings, emotions, intuition, all of that. You'll be weighing that heavy emotion, and you're a sea goat, sea of emotions, carrying someone else's emotions and feelings when you wake up, right? Carrying that to bed in your dreams, having nightmares, right? All of that, right? So, yeah, but if you're listening to something positive and high vibrational before you go to bed, and that is, I'm telling y'all, people who practice dark moon magic, I'm telling y'all, it is intentional to argue with you before you go to bed. You get off the phone with your person, y'all just had this big fight, this big argument. That is intentional. That's the last thing on your mind. Now you go to bed grieving. Somebody yelling at you before you go to bed. That create all that confusion. That's the last message. Now you've emptied everything out. They got you all fired up. Now you've absorbed all of that in your soil. You're an earth sign, right? You're an earth sign. So now your soil is dried up. So how you're going to pour back into yourselves is through high vibrational music, right? Whether it's water sounds or whether it's something high vibrational, right? Not listening to sad love songs or something that's going to remind you of, I'm so sad, I'm just grieving and I'm wishing that such and such and such and such. No, something high vibrational, something that's inspirational, something that's going to keep you in high vibes. I believe in my dreams and affirmations, positive, right? Nothing with the words hate in it. A bunch of haters of this and hate that and all of that mess. So somebody is learning how people put spells on you. So yeah, here we have guidance. So when you make divine intelligence your foundation, you finally have a fixed star to follow. A fixed star to follow. Yeah. You also got to understand too what some of our assignments are as well. Mine is to go down to the lowest frequency, to be a lighthouse, to shine a light on people's, wherever you are at your lowest frequency. Do not forget anybody, right? I don't like to leave people behind and say, hey, you know what? Don't let people use your past against you. Let's come up to a higher frequency, because a lot of people will leave. Oh, they just being negative and I'm just trying to keep it high vibrational, because maybe that's their assignment. And a lot of people will leave people behind. They'll look at them like, okay, that's too triggering for them, right? Where some things may not be triggering for me. Right. So for me, I may say, hey, I'm not using, that may not be my thing, but it's not triggering for me. But I can tell you, hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you by that. But who can judge you? Just because it's not mine, I'm not judging you by it. Because somebody else who's judging you by it, other people may not know that that's their past, but how dare they judge you from yours, right? So that's what Source is trying to tell you, is that if you're sitting around letting people judge you from your past, I guarantee you Source is going to expose their past, not for the purpose of you using it against them, to say, oh, you so busy judging me, so it's a tit for tat. No, not for that purpose. You can sit there with that if you want to. That's a waste of energy. It's a complete and total waste of energy to sit there and wait to find out somebody else's past. So what? Who cares? If you're here on earth, you have a past. That's all you need to know. You sitting around waiting to find out somebody else's past, then I'm telling you, it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of energy. Personally, if someone is working that hard to try to find out anything about my past, and they are doing the absolute most to try to hurt me, to try to find out my past, they've already fallen on their own sword. Because it tells me something is off about them already. You working that hard to try to find out something bad about me, then I've already X'd you out. So you're learning how to let go and let source, right? And you're learning how to move on. You're learning how to move through storms. You're learning how to move through storms. Some people will find you at your lowest point. They'll find you when you're grieving. Right? Because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. They want to catch you when you're crying. They want to catch you when you're sad. They want to find out certain, because they never in 1,000 years, in 1,000,000 years, they think that somebody's going to do the same thing to them. They want to find you at your lowest point. They never think that somebody's going to do the same thing to them. And then boom, when it happens to them, they go, oh my God, I can't believe that somebody's going to do, I can't believe they did that to me. And then some people go, okay. Satisfied? Yeah, so sometimes it's not even, yeah. So this is somebody's ex, whoever somebody's ex is, whoever. And some people, like I'm telling y'all, some people, they so obsessed with trying to get people back. They never, I'm telling y'all right now, somebody, this right here, this energy right here is getting their karma. They were literally dying to get somebody. They couldn't wait because they saw somebody as competition. They were literally dying. They couldn't wait to work with somebody. They were passionate. They couldn't stop themselves. So, yeah, because they walking around with a fiery ring of resentment from something else. People will find themselves on a lower frequency. They may not like anybody that's connected to something, but they will align themselves with people on a particular frequency to work with each other, and they will find you, whoever you are, at your grief. That's how people find narcissists. So yeah, somebody wanted you to surrender something. You were somebody. So you're gonna be doing some inner child work. So allow me to give compassion and love to that little one. Let me attend to its deepest needs and feelings. And so surrender. Sometimes learning to surrender can feel as if you're dying. The ego learns what's hardest, to stop trying to control the whole universe. Yeah, and then we have delusion. Intention without surrender can be a fast path to delusion. Once people get into relationships and they start all this hate conversation about, comparing this person and that person, and your mom doesn't like me, your dad doesn't like me, and your family don't like me, or I'm better than this person, and I'm smarter than this person, I'm a better leader than this person, and all this chaos and confusion, y'all would do so much better, whoever you are, I don't know who I'm talking to, with just releasing them. Releasing people in love, like for real. It's not a fit. Earth signs in general. Earth signs. And I would even put Aquarius in that category, because it's not just Aquarius, but cuspers. So cuspers. Aries on the cusp, right? Cusp of Virgos. Okay, I'm going to say cuspers of Taurians. Cuspers of Virgos, cuspers of Capricorns. I'll just put it that way, right? If you're on the cusp of those earth signs, I'll just put it that way. And I'm using this very loosely. Cuspers of earth signs. If you have a good relationship with your family, okay. If you have a good relationship with your family, a good relationship with friends and stuff like that, or healthy relationship, I'll say healthy relationship with family and friends. If there's people coming in with friction, do yourselves a favor very early on before a lot of emotions get involved, and just release people in love before a lot of emotions get involved, because it's not, I'm telling you, it's not going to be a good fit, because it's always going to be, you got people coming in, and it's because you already know, you already set, and you kind of like set, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to, you got to let people know up front, listen, this is what nurtures, this is the community that nurtures me. This is the community that nurtures me, right? This is the community that nurtures me. So this is where I feel safe. This is a community that nurtures me. These people, they nurture me. I'm grieving, and I need to be around a community that nurtures me. I'm grieving something. This is the community that nurtures me. So, and I'm talking to men and women Capricorns. So that's what I have for you all. Hopefully this is helpful. And yeah, but I do see you scheduling a vacation, but new level waits for somebody. So congratulations to you, whoever you are. And I don't know who hasn't been completely honest with you. I have no idea. So, but this is somebody's ex. And again, it could be ex-friend, ex-love, ex-whoever. So congratulations to you. But I'm seeing you're a star. I see you being a star. So, all right. Bye.